So is this fungus on the bark. Same thing you saw over here. That tree is in decline. You know, so I want us to all understand, to appreciate, this is typical of the entire Appalachian region. And so when the foresters have their conferences and they go into a stand like this, they are really shaking in their boots, shaking in their shoes, concerned of what the next 100 years is going to be. I would say what he's generally talking about is we're not getting the disturbance.
Yeah, the disturbance.
In a big picture, we're not getting the disturbance that we used to. And in fact, Alan Nation has written about this at Stockman Grass Farmer, that essentially the fire came in as a natural protection against a lack of disturbance if there was a delay or a short-term interruption of the disturbance. In other words, when enough biomass collected, either because there was a hard winter and killed a lot of the buffalo, so they weren't coming through this year, or for whatever reason, when there was a disruption in the biological disruption cycle, then the physical disruption cycle of fire took care of that biomass when it accumulated enough to be a problem. So there was a kind of a belt and suspenders, a redundancy built in to ensure that there was periodic disturbance through that system. And so believe me, when I say there is a deep soul spirit part of me that is really connected to this pig thing. We see these pigs, if they can halt this, or if they can take these new forests and stop this, trust me, we definitely want red oak and white oak forests more than we want red maple and black gum and poplar and tree of heaven. That's a real problem. Look, I'm not an evolutionist. I'm a literal creationist, just to be transparent with everybody. So I don't think we've actually been here all that long. But anyway, certainly for thousands of years. Certainly for thousands of years. The new archaeological, anthropological findings from the book, like 1491, the Ecological Indian, some of these other things that are being written now, Guns, Germs, and Steel, Collapse of Civilization, Jared Diamond, from the Terra Preta soils in Brazil and the Amazon. All of these things are pointing to the fact that of how things that we think have been this way for a long time have not been this way for a long time. What it would do, look, imagine if our civilization today, in 100 years, lost 90% of its population. That's what happened to the Native American population when the first Europeans came and brought measles and German, smallpox and all this stuff. That's what happened. In other words, when the Europeans came to these shores and found this empty continent, it had only been empty for a little while. Yeah, it had only been empty for a very little while. In fact, that's one reason why the passenger pigeons, he talks about the passenger pigeons, you could sit in a field and not see the sun for 3 days because of the passenger pigeons. Well, you know why there were so many passenger pigeons?
Not a normal population, right?
No, it's because the Indians were keeping them under control. They were kind of dumb, stupid birds that go out at night and just club them to death and eat them. That was their Tyson chicken. All right. So when the 90% of the population collapsed, the passenger pigeons just escalated to completely, out of control, and would imagine a flock of birds that would darken the sky for 3 days. The idea of cutting a tree is a hinge, but what you want to do is you want to cut a notch. You want to cut a notch in the direction that you want the fall to go. I'm just looking, but you cut a notch so that as this tree, and then a notch like this, so that as the tree begins to, as you cut fibers in the back and it begins to fall, that is a hinge. So that as the tree falls, it builds momentum and snaps the bottom rather than splitting and bending, rather than cracking all the way up and the rule of thumb is you want to cut the notch 1/3 through the front of the tree and then 2/3 through the back of the tree. Then you take your tape and you got, whoops, yeah, the end of it. All right. So you've got this is 20 feet out. That took us what, 15 minutes? And those are worth, you know, $5.50 a piece. Full cut oak 2x4s. Cut, how many do we cut? 10 of them? Hey, whereas this thing, you know, if we run it 20 days a year, fine. If we run it 30, that's fine. But, you know, you pay cash for it and you're in business. And all it takes is one pretty significant project to pay for them. In fact, a lot of people buy them, build a house, and then sell them used. There's a very, very active used trade. It's the only thing that's happened there. Otherwise, these little guides here, these little bearings here, these little guides, they do wear out. So we usually keep, you know, half a dozen of those on hand. But I take those out routinely on a rainy day and take them to the shop. Bill thinks I'm crazy. He never heard of anybody doing this, but I take the seal off, clean them all up with gasoline, you know, and a brush, then repack the bearings with bearing grease, put them back on, and we've only replaced, replaced maybe 10 of them in almost 10 years. And normally, Bill's normal maintenance procedure is just replace them every year with brand new ones. So, you know, those are neat things, and we routinely make custom stuff for ourselves. The awning that we'll be sitting under in just a moment in the barn. You'll notice the roof purlins are 3x3s. That's an odd dimension. Well, 2x4 was a little bit light, and to make a 2x4 work, we would have had to go a lot closer with our rafters, which didn't work with our poles that we had. So, you know, we just made a 3x3, which kind of was the difference between a 2x4 and a 4x4. And we don't need a 4x4. A 4x4 is more than we need, so we just made a 3x3. And so, you know, you can customize anything.